WBZ proudly presents the 40th Pan Mass Challenge Opening Ceremonies, live from Sturbridge.
This is our opportunity to give back.
A 1-hour special to help in the fight against cancer. With hosts David Wade, Lisa Hughes, and the PMC's Billy Starr.
The events change plenty. The mission has never changed.
Hear stories of hope, inspiration, and living proof.
It's just this really emotional, overwhelming sense of contribution and making a difference.
I'm living life to the fullest as I perceive it.
Join us now in reaching our goal of $60 million. The Pan Mass Challenge Opening Ceremonies starts now. Proudly supported by PwC.
Good evening and welcome. Good evening and welcome to the 2019 Pan Mass Challenge Opening Ceremonies. We are live in Sturbridge, which happens to be the start of the PMC.
And tonight we celebrate the 40th ride of the Pan Mass Challenge. A lot has changed over all those years. The clothing, the routes, the bikes, that's all evolved. But one thing that has stayed the same is the central mission, our passion and focus to find a cure for cancer.
There are a record 6,800 riders who will be clipping into their pedals this weekend for a 2-day ride across Massachusetts. And here's the best part. Every single rider-raised dollar is donated to the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute for research and treatment.
And what kind of a difference does that make? Over 40 years, our fundraising has had a major impact. We have raised, as riders and volunteers, a grand total of $654 million. That is more than $500 million for Dana-Farber. And we're not just talking about numbers. We're talking about something that is deeply personal. And over the next hour, we're going to be sharing with you some of the stories that inspire the riders. And one of those stories is that of a 13-year-old cancer warrior. We're going to tell you how PMC fundraising led to her life-saving treatment.
Also tonight, this rider, who was already committed to the PMC, but now her mission is more personal than ever. And you do not want to miss this.
The PMC, oh boy.
The atmosphere is just crazy.
I'll always be back for the first weekend in August.
The PMC family, in their own words, really capturing the true spirit of the Pan Mass Challenge.
Now, when the Pan Mass Challenge started, it had just 36 riders. Think about that. It is now the largest, most successful athletic fundraiser in the world. And that was made possible, yes, by the vision of one man who came up with the idea in 1980 and has kept it in high gear ever since.
Did he ever think that we would have so many beach balls? They're flying around here. Please welcome to the stage the PMC founder, Mr. Billy Starr. So, Billy, we mentioned it moments ago, 40 years. This is a milestone ride this year. Tell us about how you're feeling and about this year's ride.
Well, I feel great, obviously, but there's going to be lots of time to reflect on 40 years. But frankly, I'm excited about where we are right now. Our mission to raise funds for Dana-Farber has never been as supported as we are right now.
Okay, so every year, I think even those of us who ride are amazed that we reach these jaw-dropping fundraising totals. 2019, no different. Let's talk about this year's goal.
We aim high every year, and our original goal was big, $58 million. But we've been challenged to raise $60 million, and we've accepted that challenge.
Yeah, and there's great incentive to get to $60 million.
That's right. This challenge comes courtesy of 3-time cancer survivor and PMC rider Patrick Byrne. He has pledged another $1 million to our total if, or should I say when, we hit that $60 million mark.
And we will hit it.
Or we will hit it.
It is pretty incredible. The magic of PMC weekend is undeniable, and this year, more than 80% of the fundraising cyclists are repeat riders.
And when they see how their fundraising dollars are being put to work, it's a lot easier to recruit even more to join the cause.
For, almost half my life, I've been participating in the PMC.
This is year 19 for Melissa Jacoby. She first took on the Pan Mass Challenge in 2001, motivated to carry on her husband's memory.
I think the shock of having a 32-year-old really healthy husband pass away sticks with me.
Melissa and Perry Levy had been married for less than 2 years when Perry was diagnosed with cancer of the small bowel. 4 months later, he was gone.
He just had this zest for life, avid athlete, cyclist, triathlete.
That first year, Melissa rode with a close friend. She quickly recruited family members, including Perry's brother, Matthew.
The first year, like Melissa's first year, I used one of Perry's old bikes. Just did a one day to test it out. And then from there, it's history, as they say.
The small army of committed cyclists called Team Perry has now grown to more than 80 riders.
I think, all of us still are amazed every year what has become. It's taken on a life of its own.
Most of the people on the team at this point never knew Perry, but ride in his memory and ride for the cause.
The cause of funding a cure for cancer.
They remind me why I'm working so hard in the lab.
In this lab on the 8th floor of Dana-Farber, Dr. Nolay Sethi specializes in gastrointestinal cancers. Dr. Sethi is the 13th fellow whose position is partially funded with the money raised by Team Perry.
I cannot say enough about the team itself and the inspiration they provide us.
We've made enormous strides in 20 years. If Perry was diagnosed today, he would probably survive or at least have a much longer life.
Despite all the incredible progress, Team Perry rides because there is still work to do.
It's a really emotional, overwhelming sense of contribution and making a difference.
And you are all making a difference. So first thing tomorrow morning, riders will take off from Sturbridge on this 2-day, 192-mile trek to the tip of Cape Cod, Provincetown. And while this is the longest ride, it's certainly not the only one.
No, thousands of us will also leave tomorrow morning from Babson College in Wellesley and cycle to Cape Cod. And in fact, there are 12 different routes this weekend, both 2-day rides and single-day events that range from 25 miles to the full 192. And it's true that this weekend we may travel on some different roads, but we all have the same spirit, the same goal, and that is to find a cure for cancer.
Now, veteran PMC riders know you need to train, right? Of course, that's obvious, but you also have to be prepared for the weather. You can see all kinds of weather along the route. Last year, a little bit of everything. Rain, fog, and then a beautiful summer day to greet everyone in Provincetown. That was all in one weekend.
That was a gift, that Sunday ride. Right now, we want to send it over to WBZ Chief Meteorologist Eric Fisher, who is live at Babson College in Wellesley with a look at this year's PMC forecast. Eric?
A trio of different weather conditions. We call that job security over here in the weather department, but you know what? Tonight, all is quiet. We like it that way, too. We're looking at a beautiful evening out here, and over the weekend, I don't think the weather's going to cause any major issues for any of the riders out along the course. Some good news there. You take a look at the conditions, warm. It's going to be warm and muggier tomorrow. I think that's the main headline. It'll be a little bit more humid than what we had out there today. Temperatures up into the 80s. There is a chance for a pop-up shower storm, but I think all the activity is going to be just to the north of the Mass Pike, so northern Massachusetts, so the riders heading away from it. Looks like we'll all stay dry. And then as we head into Sunday, a little bit cooler, especially on Cape Cod. The humidity will be higher in the morning, and then it will start to drop off as we head into the later part of the day. But overall, it's a warm August weekend, but we don't have any big thunderstorms. We don't have the driving rain, strong winds. I think it's going to be a nice weekend to be out there. About 2,700 riders will leave from right here at Babson College in Wellesley tomorrow morning. Getting up bright and early, right around 7. It'll be about 71 degrees. 1,000 more will leave here on Sunday. Like all these different routes, it makes it such an accessible event. There's so many different types of riders out there, whether through schedule or ability, being able to leave from Wellesley or Sturbridge. It's going to be a great morning. Just plan for a very warm one for both Saturday and Sunday. David and Lisa, we will send it back to you, and we'll share some stories from some of the riders here in Wellesley coming up in a little while.
All right, Eric, thank you. We're all hydrating here. You know, when the PMC began in 1980, Dana-Farber had fewer than 20,000 outpatient visits each year. Thanks to the PMC's ongoing support, Dana-Farber can now see 16 times that number of patients every year, which is incredible. And again, that gets back to the fundraising. Billy, last year we added to that already incredible fundraising total.
In 2018, we set out to raise an ambitious $52 million, and we blew it out of the water, raising $56 million. That money is now being used at Dana-Farber for cancer care and life-saving research. And you don't have to be RIDE to be a part of the PMC family. Log on to pmc.org and make a donation.
Billy, thank you so much. As we mentioned at the top of this show, 6,800 riders this year. 1,200 of them will be new riders, including my guest here, Alexandra Pease, who's riding in memory of her dad. And Alexandra, I know you signed up for the whole shebang, 192 miles. Tell us a little bit more about your dad and what made you sign up.
Yeah, I did. My dad was a ray of sunshine, and he loved to cycle. Everything was completely normal until January of 2015 when he fainted and was diagnosed with glioblastoma, which is a deadly form of brain cancer. And this year I was thinking to myself, how can I, impact the world with cancer research and also honor his legacy. And this year I've decided to ride his bike for the whole 192 miles.
And so you'll be on your dad's bike.
Yep.
Your mom, your brothers, and your boyfriend are all volunteering.
Yep.
Could you all stand up and give a little wave? Give a little wave. Just quickly tell me, Alexandra, what you're looking forward to most.
I'm looking forward to everything. I know this weekend will be full of emotion, but I'm looking forward to making lots of new friends, exploring lots of new towns, and hopefully raising as much money as possible for cancer research.
Most people say finishing. I like your answer better. Alexandra Pease, thank you so much. Lisa, over to you.
So glad to have Alexandra in the ride. Thanks, David. Well, like Alexandra, we have so much to look forward to, but it's also fun to look back. And I had a chance to talk to Billy at the PMC office about the ride's history and how it's evolved from a small event 40 years ago to the biggest fundraising event of its kind, with almost 11,000 riders and volunteers.
The helmets, the lack thereof, the clothing, the bikes, the food, the haircuts. I look at that and go, oh my God, this could be like the Stone Age. No, Billy, that was your life.
We've got cowboys and we've got signs and we've got maps.
This is the original.
This is what you gave me.
This is the original map.
Provincetown?
It's hilarious. It says volumes of the innocence of it.
You go down the hill, on the left you can park your bike, there's a semi down there where you can get your duffel bag.
There was no roadmap for events like this back in 1980. Bikes were simple, spandex was scarce, and the fundraiser was in its infancy.
Oh, you can make it, Bill? Gee,
Glad I could too.
again? Ready for tomorrow already, Bill?
That was no foregone conclusion.
You've been in training, huh?
This was year 10, and this year, long sleeve tees were very popular.
And in '84, you were up to $155,000.
Wow. A lot of money.
And now we're at $56 million.
The events changed plenty. The mission has never changed.
That mission to fund a cure for cancer endures. So do the personal connections, restored every PMC weekend, starting with that first ride and its 36 riders. Within 10 years, the PMC became a $1 million fundraising powerhouse for Dana-Farber, its potential for growth quickly expanding.
So that first year, when you're standing on the back of a flatbed welcoming everybody to the event, do you have any vision for what it would be 40 years later?
No, who could have that? I did have a vision it could be bigger.
What will be the legacy of the PMC?
To fund the cures to cancer. I can't see it any other way.
That legacy is already taking shape. When the PMC began in 1980, there were fewer than 5 million cancer survivors in the United States.
Today, there are almost 17 million.
It would be nice if the legacy were that someday PMC rides for something else.
40 years into this ride, that's the goal the PMC's chasing, with thousands of committed riders.
Where does the time go? I feel fortunate we've come a long way, but there's a long way to go. You know, it's been a good ride.
Thank you. And we'll do it next year, obviously.
Group of committed PMC veterans, 6 people who have ridden or volunteered every single year. Now, Amy Bresky can't be with us tonight because she's already inborn, getting ready for all the riders who are going to be coming in tomorrow afternoon.
But we do have Billy, Jim, Barry, Al, and Doug, all 40-year PMCers.
Wow.
And Doug, my first question is for you. Back in 1980, you did it as a physical challenge. What brought you back every year?
The first year was strictly the physical challenge. I hadn't been touched by cancer. The second year, my 6-year-old daughter had a good friend who lost her leg to cancer. And I opened the front shade one morning and I said, gee, it didn't have to hit her house. It could have hit my house or the house on either side of me. And that was the start. And after that, it was all about this.
Jim, I know that you actually started as a volunteer back in 1980. How'd you wind up riding?
Well, I had worked as a volunteer, and all I ever heard from anybody is, why are you volunteering? Why aren't you riding? Why can't you get on a bike? Why don't you start riding? Well, I'd had quite enough of that, so I decided at that point it was time to ride. And so I rode year 8, which was, we had 7 incredibly gorgeous years of weather. Until year 8, when we had this unbelievable downpour throughout most of the ride. And then I took off year 9 and volunteered for that one, and then rode again on year 10, and of course it rained again in year 10. At which point Billy thoughtfully, I think he didn't think I was a curse, but why take a chance? Right. So he decided this was it. You're done.
And now you're riding.
And now I volunteer all the time, yeah.
And Barry. Barry has known Billy since kindergarten. We can ask what Billy was like in kindergarten another time. But what brought you in? What brought you in back in 1980?
Well, basically, I saw how hard Billy was working, putting flyers out in all these bike shops. I kind of felt bad that no one would sign up. But anyway, and then of course he challenged me to do this ride, and I never did a ride like that. And with his encouragement, I was able to, go for that challenge and do that ride. And it was like fantastic, and the camaraderie was great. And it's something that I will be doing forever until we find that cure. And then I'll be riding it for fun again and for the challenge.
And that brings me to my question for Al, which is, I know you say that the PMC is a way of life. How so?
Exactly. I really didn't know why I was riding the first year in 1980, because it was more of a physical challenge. I was embarrassed to fundraise. I didn't know how to go out and fundraise. I don't think anyone did back then. After this, I paid my first 2 years, which was small compared to now, but well worth it. And there was a check presentation at the Jimmy Fund Building Auditorium, and one of the riders put together a picture video show of the children in the clinic. And that's when I knew why I was doing the PMC, and that's why I've been doing it ever since.
Thank you. Now, along with these 6 riders, there are 17 other riders and volunteers who are here with us who have committed to the PMC for 35 years or more. Let's hear it for that group, and thank you for everything you've done to raise money for Dana-Farber. Now, from
From the veterans to the newcomers, the Pan Mass Challenge welcomes everyone. Of course, this weekend, you need to be at least 15 years old to ride.
That's right, but that is not the case for younger riders. There are plenty of other events where they can get involved in events that are just for them outside PMC weekend.
The Pan Mass Challenge is a test of endurance and commitment. 192 miles over 2 days from Sturbridge to Provincetown. This is also the PMC. Smaller riders on a shorter course, but with the same meaningful goal.
To help people that are sick. I think it's going to be really fun, and we're going to raise a lot of money.
This is the Cranberry Country PMC Kids Ride, one of 30 similar rides just for kids that take place throughout the year.
A big part of this for me is teaching the kids that they can make a difference.
12-year PMC rider Bill Goldsmith has been organizing the Middleborough Kids Ride for 5 years.
I wanted this year to be special.
This turnout was absolutely amazing.
More than 400 kids all riding in memory of 8-year-old Chloe Harding.
When she was 4 months old, she was diagnosed with leukemia. We were blessed to have her for another 8.5 years. The leukemia ended up coming back, and we lost her to cancer in February.
For 3 years, Chloe hopped on her bike for this ride, even when she was sick.
Chloe had a passion for helping others, and it was her desire every year to ride. She always wanted to help other kids and help other kids with cancer. So this ride in itself really means a lot to us.
This year's ride was dedicated to Chloe, her shining spirit now inspiring her teammates who proudly wear shirts that read, "Chloe Strong." Among them, her best friend and older brother, Wyatt.
I think it's just plain old nice because everyone's coming out for a good cause.
And she is riding with you in spirit today. She would be so proud of each and every one of you that has come out here and raised funds for her fight. We will someday find a cure.
And in the spirit of Chloe Strong, the PMC Kids Rides this year will raise $1 million.
And I know what you're thinking. No, you can't use training wheels. Let's go back to Eric Fisher. He is live for us at Babson College tonight. Eric?
Hey, David and Lisa, and evening, everybody. I'm out here with Jeff Johnson and his mom, Carlene, who has got her first diagnosis in 1981. And we're sitting here tonight having this conversation, which is just a beautiful thing. And Jeff, your 8th year riding in the PMC.
Yeah, it's been great. I ride in honor of my mom. You know, she's been in and out of treatment for 31 years. And I just feel really fortunate, and our family feels fortunate. So this is a great way to kind of play it forward. So really enjoyed it. And I'm on the Pedal for Pediatrics team, and it's a great team. So thanks.
Carlene, you were talking to me about the importance of teamwork, and we look around us and we're surrounded by all these smiling faces who are all on the same team right now.
We are, and it's so important to have good family support and a wonderful oncologist like John Dubois, who's also a rider. And he helps build the relationships as well as find the technology and the resources. So I have been very, very lucky.
I can tell your son loves you very much, and he's been here the whole way, too.
Yes.
It's beautiful. And David and Lisa, you hear what Carlene just had, a story that's similar down here. A lot of doctors that are also riding with or in support of their patients.
Eric, thank you so much. We are so glad to have them on our team and working so hard at Dana-Farber. This weekend, we know, wouldn't be possible without commitment, and it also wouldn't be possible without an army of big-hearted, dedicated volunteers.
In fact, there are more than 4,000 volunteers. A standing ovation is fitting for the 4,000 volunteers who make sure the riders have everything they need. And this year, all 6 members of a Framingham family will be part of the PMC's success.
I've been a PMC volunteer for 24 years.
14 years for me.
I've been a volunteer with the PMS Challenge for 16 years. I've been volunteering at this PMC for 16 years as well.
This is my first time volunteering.
I'm a first-timer too.
Combined, that's 72 volunteer years for the Keefs.
When I first started volunteering for the PMC, I didn't really have anybody affected. Then I lost my brother Terry at 44 years old, and my brother Kevin at 52 years old, both to cancer.
Sean Keefe, who's in the trucking business, got roped into volunteering in 1994 when the PMC asked him to help load trucks heading to the finish line in Provincetown.
Being in the freight business, I told them the way they were doing it was totally wrong, and load my truck and I'll take it to Provincetown, which was, I think, the intent all along.
Then Sean's wife, Eileen, got involved, first as a volunteer, now as a rider.
I started riding to remember my mom.
Eileen has raised about $40,000 for the cause.
All the money I raised for the PMC, 100% of all money raised goes directly to Dana-Farber. And that's, you know, someone else's mom's going to survive.
But the Keefs didn't stop there. Their sons Alex and Trevor joined their dad at the finish line 16 years ago.
You get to be part of not only a great cause, but you're also part of a family. Even if it's just a little bit to help, I mean, I want to do all that I can.
And 2 more Keefs are getting in on the act this year for the first time. 13-year-old Daniel and 10-year-old Joanne.
I love helping out, and I think it's a great cause to help with.
My family has done it for so long. I'm the next generation, so I think I should help too.
The Keefs help set up the finish line and make sure all the bikes get back home when it's over.
We load 13 tractor trailers full of bicycles to go back to Boston, Wellesley, and Sturbridge.
Sean is one of the Provincetown coordinators and works on the PMC all year long, always focused on the mission of raising money to help Dana-Farber fight cancer.
The PMC is so many things to me. It truly is. It's, as it is to everybody. And we hope someday we don't have to have it.
The Keefs are one dedicated family.
We love them.
No question. We still have much more ahead.
Including the story of a rider determined to return to the PMC this year, now as living proof. And
I think we found our hallelujah.
Also ahead, how this cancer survivor found that hallelujah thanks to the PMC and Dana-Farber.
I started riding in 1987.
B. Grimlich, and I started riding in 2011.
Jeremy Mulrooney, 2002.
Linda Murray, 2015.
Extremely emotional.
It was more than I expected. It was wonderful. It was a huge sense of accomplishment.
I could not imagine missing it any year.
My daughter, Fiona, was diagnosed with medulloblastoma when she was 22 months old. And now she's in UNH. This is why we do it, right?
To have people cheering me on, you know, when they see that I'm living proof, and they're like, "Yeah, Linda, you got this." The eyes get all leaky. You just can't quit because we're gonna do it. We're gonna make this happen. We're gonna beat cancer. And we do it by pedaling. Happy 40th PMC! I can't wait.
My name's Michelle Abel, and I ride for Team PWC. At PWC, we believe that our businesses have an important role to play in addressing our community's most challenging issues. That's why more than 100 partners, staff, and friends of PWC Boston have come together to support the PMC and those dedicated to finding cures for all types of cancer. I'm riding for my sister-in-law and my husband. So in honor of all my loved ones and yours who have been touched by cancer, PWC rides.
Thanks, Boston, for making WBZ Boston's most watched 11 o'clock news again.
Very nice idea all around.
Win, win, win.
Year after year. Thanks for turning here for everything news.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
We have live team coverage for you.
Everything weather.
So here's a look at the hour by hour.
And everything Boston.
Tom Brady and the team are getting their Super Bowl rings.
WBZ News with Lisa Hughes, David Wade, Eric Fisher, and Steve Burton.
Must-see television.
Boston's most watched 11 o'clock news.
My name is Joan DeCalabas. I started in 2003.
Warren Green, 1991.
Karen Deerdorf. I've been doing this for 28 years.
Billy Starr. I started riding in 1980.
As much as it hurt, the minute I crossed the finish line, I knew I was doing it again.
First year was amazing.
When I see footage of the 80s, it makes me feel old.
I'm not a doctor, but I can help the doctors like this.
I knew I could make it big, but I didn't know what big meant. This is big.
As big as we are, it still feels intimate to me. It feels like a family.
Just something that gets into your heart, quite honestly.
So here's for better weather in our 40th year.
Here comes number 40. Let's do it.
The PMC opening ceremonies are proudly supported by PwC.
Welcome back to PMC Opening Ceremonies live from Sturbridge. The Pan Mass Challenge, of course, is a two-day biking fundraising dedicated to saving lives that have been touched by cancer.
We ride for our friends and our family members who have battled the disease, and for the hundreds of riders who join us on the road as survivors. We honor them as living proof that the breakthroughs and the innovations at Dana-Farber that our fundraising makes possible are making a difference.
And our Living Proof family has a new member this year. I can see her from here. Taylor Chinitz was already a committed PMC rider when she received the news that no one is ever prepared to hear.
That moment when you see all of the posters.
This stretch of the Pan Mass Challenge can be harder than any hill, riding by the faces of young cancer survivors.
I always got so emotional.
Taylor Chinitz grew up with the PMC, first doing smaller kids' rides. Then she joined her dad for the 192-mile ride as soon as she turned 16.
It's the purpose of that weekend is to raise money and kind of support all the people that are going through treatment affected by cancer in some way.
Testing her own physical limits was a thrill. Helping others made it even sweeter. Then the mission of the PMC became more personal than ever.
And she was like, there's a few things I think this could be, but we most likely think it's lymphoma.
Last spring, at the age of 22, doctors found a mass inside Taylor's chest that was putting pressure on her heart and lungs. It was Hodgkin's lymphoma.
So strong, such a fighter, and I think that we look at life differently now.
Taylor stayed positive through 6 months of chemo, followed by radiation.
They think I am finished with treatment, and obviously hearing that, I signed up for the PMC and just couldn't wait to get back involved.
This year, Taylor will ride in the celebrated PMC group of cancer survivors known as Living Proof.
The Living Proof is really living proof of what our work does.
Taylor's dad, Michael, is a veteran PMC rider, supporting the cause long before it hit so close to home. He says he doesn't expect to hold back his emotions when he sees his firstborn toasting her health on PMC weekend.
I'll be choking back the tears and I'll have a lump in my throat, but I'll be beaming with pride.
And for the first time, Taylor's mom, Karen, will also be getting on the bike.
Anytime that I feel like slowing down or giving up, I'm going to think of Taylor, you know, getting her chemo and being so positive during that whole period.
These posters will once again motivate Taylor to keep pedaling. And now Taylor herself will be providing inspiration to other riders at every mile.
I'll keep riding. I think I'll ride forever.
My epiphany to create the PMC occurred while watching a sunset at Boston's Arnold Arboretum in April 1980. I had lost my mother, uncle, and cousin to cancer in my 20s, and I had a pain that needed to be purged. Given my modest business background at the time, I figured that 4 months was enough to pull together an event from Williamstown to Provincetown, 302 miles, a pan-mass challenge. My original thought was I would do it alone and raise money. When I went to the Jimmy Fund to tell them my idea, they steered me to a volunteer named Joanne Goldberg. She would play a critical role in focusing my energy. She asked me, "What is your goal?" And I responded, "I want to raise money to fund the cures for cancer." Without hesitation, she said, "So, you think you're better off doing it alone?" Her comment hit me like I imagine it hit Bruce Springsteen as he tells it when a gypsy told him, "You need a band." And so did I. So that is what I set out to do. From that moment on, I've attempted to build a band of cyclists and volunteers, all of whom would raise money for the country's best cancer fighting institute right here in my hometown of Boston. 40 years later, if not a little sooner, it all seems so obvious. Everyone here at Babson College or watching at home has their own personal connection to cancer. Anyone who's felt the loss of loved ones would want to do something about it, and we have. The 2019 version of the PMC is like a gigantic iceberg. What people see above the surface is the amazing total of dollars raised, as well as the cyclists and volunteers across 47 towns and 360 miles of infrastructure. What many do not see is how PMC is a year-round consciousness for thousands. It has to be to achieve such numbers. But as inspirationally, PMC is a beacon of hope to the cancer community, as well as a metaphor for the commitment of the doctors and researchers at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, that not only are patients and their families not alone, but that we will someday make cancer history. As further evidence of the progress we have made, we have 960 cancer survivors participating this weekend. We call them living proof. If you are one of them, please stand up and take a bow. Thank you to all the riders, volunteers, donors, sponsors, and WBZ for your commitment to the PMC. Thank you all very much.
It's an honor to be part of your team, Billy. Thank you.
Let's go back to Eric Fisher now, who is at Babson College for us tonight. Eric?
Hey there, David and Lisa, and good evening, everybody. I'm with the Robinson family here, and Eleanor, the mother, and the brothers and sisters who jumped into fundraising action as soon as this whole journey began here. And Ren, I mean, I'm amazed at how much money you were able to raise right off the bat with this.
Yeah, so we were fortunate enough to raise nearly almost $50,000, and it's come from a really wide variety of donors. We've done this through spin classes and fundraisers, getting everyone involved, so we're really honored to donate all of that to my mom's specific type of lung cancer.
And Eleanor, this is non-smoking lung cancer. This was a serious diagnosis, but you are here 100% because of what Dana-Farber was able to research and find for you.
100%. Dana-Farber has given me actually hope. It's given me my life, and it's why I'm here today. It's very emotional for me.
This is a very experimental drug that they were able to find for you. How is it working right now?
Well, it was experimental in the last 3 years, and it came out of clinical trial 2 years ago. And I take a targeted chemotherapy. I take a pill every day, and it attacks the very cancer I have. So the rest of my body isn't poisoned, and that allows me to have a relatively normal life now. I can go to yoga classes, I can get on my bike, I can play tennis, climb mountains and be with my family, and have a nice summer in 2019. This is unbelievable because last summer it was a very different story. Last summer at this very time, I found out that my lung cancer diagnosis, it had metastasized to my bones. And that was a very scary diagnosis for me.
And now you're pain-free and you look great.
I'm pain-free, and I was in a lot of pain last summer. I could barely move. I had tumors in my neck and tumors in my hip, and it is in my cervical spine, and I really thought my goose was cooked, to be honest. And then we found out about Tagrisso, a pill, this chemotherapy, this targeted chemotherapy that came out of a lab, Dr. Passiani's lab at Dana-Farber.
And that's what we're all here for, to raise the money that makes the research possible, that makes the cure possible, that makes it possible for you to live a wonderful life, wonderful summer, and a wonderful weekend, I hope, for Team Peregrine Peddlers, because Eleanor is a big fan of birding as well. Guys, back to you.
Wow. How great was it to see her smiling like that? That was outstanding. You know, we want to thank Billy for setting such a high bar each and every year. For all of the riders and the volunteers, breaking those fundraiser records year after year is definitely something to be proud of.
Yeah, we work hard for it. And the bottom line is that nothing is more powerful than seeing how that money is saving lives. We saw it a second ago, and no one else describes that better than Emma, a beaming 13-year-old cancer warrior.
I play outside with my dogs and I cuddle them. I go for a bike ride. I'm living life to the fullest as I perceive it.
Last summer, these simple pleasures might not have been possible for Emma Levine.
So Emma was originally diagnosed in August of 2016 with a rare renal sarcoma cancer.
She had months of intense chemotherapy to treat the kidney cancer, but the tumors returned and they spread to her lungs. Emma endured another long and painful round of chemo.
It was invasive, it was scary, and not a single part of it was good.
With few options, Emma's oncologist in New York suggested she join a study at Dana-Farber to genetically profile her tumor.
I think we found our hallelujah.
The DNA scan discovered a protein causing Emma's rare cancer. The good news? Dana-Farber had a second clinical trial underway to test the very medication matched to Emma's genetic mutation.
No side effects, I just know that it's healing my body.
Emma began taking the drug and the tumors began to shrink.
How do you thank somebody for literally saving your child's life?
That somebody is Dr. Katie Janeway. Her research team is behind the tumor profiling, a groundbreaking way to treat disease called precision medicine.
This would not have been possible even 4 years ago.
Dr. Janeway's research is partially funded by Team Precision, a dedicated group of PMC riders.
We basically could not do this type of research without our philanthropic donor support, a huge part of which comes from the PMS Challenge.
We are eternally grateful to all of Emma's doctors for saving her life.
At a special event at Dana-Farber, the PMC team got a chance to meet Emma and see firsthand how their fundraising dollars are making a difference.
I'm really excited to meet Emma because, you know, it's all about, this is really what we do, and intangibly you can see how those dollars are really being activated. It's emotional.
The team even convinced Dr. Janeway to join this year's 192-mile ride.
The way I think about it is I want to make more Emmas. I just want more of that.
How's it going?
More smiles, more laughter, and a life filled with gratitude.
We went from a very difficult, challenging prognosis, preparing for some very challenging times, to a thriving 13-year-old child again.
Dream, see,
Just being able to get up in the morning and go places is a blessing.
And in fact, Emma is a blessing, and we're so lucky tonight to have Dr. Katie Janeway with us in Sturbridge. Dr. Janeway, thank you so much for your work in the lab at Dana-Farber, and good luck in your ride this year.
Dr. Janeway, thank you. And leading the charge for all of that incredible research at Dana-Farber is the doctor who joins us now, the president of Dana-Farber, Dr. Lori Glimcher. And doctor, I'm assuming that stories like Emma's has to be one of the reasons you just love your job and the work you're doing at Dana-Farber.
I do, and let me tell you that without the PMC, we would not be where we are today. We have made tremendous strides in treating cancer. You just heard two amazing stories. Without the PMC, I'm not sure we would have done that.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the incredible advances at Dana-Farber, let's say in the last year.
We have started to look very seriously at how we can detect cancer early, because if you can detect cancer early, before it has spread, you have a very, very good chance of curing it. And so we're developing these new technologies to see that we can detect cancer at a very early stage, because it's a heck of a lot easier to treat it at that stage than when it's already spread. We're moving forward very vigorously on immunotherapy, getting your own immune system to attack your cancer, and there have been a lot of successes in that, in lung cancer, in kidney cancer, head and neck cancer, cancers that previously were not treatable back when my mom, who developed cancer over a decade ago, was diagnosed.
I just want to say, doctor, thank you for the work at Dana-Farber. Also, thank you for riding. This is your 4th year this year.
It is.
It seems like just yesterday you were taking your first ride, so thank you.
You're very welcome.
We'll see you on the road.
Yes.
And right now, we want to go back up to the stage and Billy for a great update about our fundraising. Billy?
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Dr. Glimcher, for what you do, and again, riding for the 4th year. I'm happy to say once again, we are on pace for another record fundraising year. So far, PMC riders have raised $42 million. This is up 14% over this time last year. And think about how far we've all come. In 2014, $41 million was our total gift to Dana-Farber. Our goal this year is $60 million. Fundraising continues until October 1st. Help us ride and rise to the occasion. Donate PMC.org. Every rider raised dollar is donated directly to Dana-Farber.
Billy, thank you so much. And joining us now are two people extremely familiar with the work of the PMC. You know Larry Lucchino, former president of the Boston Red Sox, chairman of the Jimmy Fund, and very exciting, the Worcester Red Sox
as well.
And we have with us PMC rider and so much more, Mac Jones.
Let's start with you, Larry. The Jimmy Fund, we're all familiar with the incredible work. Tell us about the connection with the PMC.
Well, it goes back 18 years ago when we first came to Boston. One of the first commitments we made was to the Jimmy Fund as a sponsor. So we the Red Sox have been a sponsor for 18 years, and we have a team riding in the ride every year, and we're really proud of the Jimmy Fund connection, and it's as important as anything we do.
Well, and I want to ask you, Mac, I said a second ago, a PMC rider and so much more. You're a rider, you were an intern, now you work at Dana-Farber. How did the PMC shape your decision to become a doctor?
Well, my dad started riding 15 years ago. My mom is a hospice care nurse, at-home hospice care. And then when I joined the PMS Challenge with my dad as a kid's ride, and now 2 years ago I started working at Dana-Farber. I mean, PMS Challenge is the reason why I'm here. That's the reason I'm looking at kids that I see in the clinic every single day. And it's why the PMC is the only reason why I want to be a doctor.
Wow.
Well,
Larry.
Couldn't be a better ambassador. Thank you so much.
Larry and Matt, thank you so much. Still to come here tonight, Do you ever wonder what keeps the PMC riders coming back year after year?
Well, coming up, the PMC family, 4 decades of memories. Thank you.
Now, you don't have to be out on the roads this weekend to be part of the PMC. You can make a donation at pmc.org. Every rider raised dollar goes directly to Dana-Farber, and we'll be right back.
My name's Heidi Herring. I started riding in 2003.
Drew Dolbin. I started riding in 1993.
Francesca Federico. This is my first year.
Brian Sweetman, 2007.
My mom.
I started riding in honor of my mother.
My son was diagnosed with leukemia at age 5.
We lost my husband's mom.
I lost my cousin last year at 36 to breast cancer.
I was diagnosed with cancer.
And he's 17 years old, going to be a senior in high school next year. So for all they did for him, we're just trying to pay it back.
It's the commitment, it's the camaraderie, and we're all working toward a common goal. And we're going to beat it. We got to keep going till we beat it.
And that's crazy right now. It makes me happy. I'm energetic and stoked.
Happy 40th birthday, PMC.
Happy 40th PMC.
Happy 40th PMC. We're getting closer by the mile.
Happy 40th PMC.
My name's Michelle Abel, and I ride for Team PWC. At PWC, we believe that our businesses have an important role to play in addressing our community's most challenging issues. That's why more than 100 partners, staff, and friends of PWC Boston have come together to support the PMC and those dedicated to finding cures for all types of cancer. I'm riding for my sister-in-law and my husband. So in honor of all my loved ones and yours who have been touched by cancer, PWC rides.
All summer, for everything weather, count on WBZ.
This is an extremely impressive supercell thunderstorm.
Eric Fisher and the Storm Watch team.
Lingering downpours and thunder possible.
Alerting you first to threatening skies.
It's right in here where there could be some flash flooding.
Pinpointing severe storms down to your street.
This is the area that is dealing with some really strong winds.
And updating you anytime on the CBS Boston weather app.
Keep a very close eye on that.
Eric, Danielle, Barry, Sarah, and Zach.
Couldn't get better.
The WBZ Storm Watch weather team.
Happy 40th PMC!
Happy 40th PMC!
Happy 40th PMC with courage! Woohoo!
PMC, you have changed so many lives, including mine. Happy 40th.
Happy 40th year, PMC.
Happy 40th PMC!
Happy 40th PMC to many more, and let's do this for all our children.
40 years later, we're still going strong. Never would have believed it was this big, this successful. Let's cure cancer. Happy 40th PMC.
Just get out there, ride, and ride until we don't have to anymore.
Happy 40th anniversary, PMC.
There's nowhere I'd rather be PMC weekend than here. Happy 40th PMC!
Commit!
You'll figure it out!
The PMC opening ceremonies are proudly supported by PWC.
Welcome back. You know, the spirit of the Pan Mass Challenge can't be captured with any one word or one emotion.
No, but the power of knowing that you can make a difference by joining the PMC makes it, for so many of us, a meaningful, can't-miss annual tradition.
The PMC, oh boy.
The atmosphere is just crazy. Everyone's buzzing. It's like 5 a.m., but you're wide awake.
You're hugging people as soon as you see them each year. It's just such a blast.
All the riders, all the volunteers, the people on the road, the policemen who help. The spirit around the weekend is incredible.
No matter where I am 2 years from now or 10 years from now, I'll always be back for the first weekend in August.
Even last year when it was hurricaning and torrentially downpouring, you're seeing people slide out from their bikes.
Just get out there, ride. Best weekend of the year.
The mission is what it's about. Don't ever tell anyone what a great time it is. It's the mission. And I've never backed off that.
In 1989, when I first got involved in the PMC, I didn't really know too many people with cancer. I was lucky. But as the years have passed and, you know, more and more people we all know someone with cancer, and it's really touched everyone's lives.
You know, here I am having volunteered for 20 years, and then all of a sudden I'm one of the statistics.
The Pan Mass Challenge is able to donate 100%
of the rider revenue raised to the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. Those are the dollars that spark the innovation that makes the difference.
Our goal should never be to treat cancer. Our goal should be to eliminate cancer. And I think the PMC is a giant force for hope.
People need to hear, where's the impact? What are we doing? PMC money funds probably over 700 initiatives at Dana-Farber. Some cancers remain brutally resistant, but we're working on it.
The PMC taps into humility and gratitude. You are humbled by the mission, and you're so grateful to be able to do it, taking on something that is so daunting and making a real difference.
They've lost spouses, they've lost children, they've had children that have survived. They themselves have survived, as I have. This event is a channel for people to heal.
Along the way, there are just so many people who are waving signs and saying, if it weren't for you, we wouldn't be here.
I love when generations ride together, grandparents who ride with their children and grandchildren, taking this on, and not just the ride, but the mission of the PMC.
40 years ago, Billy was in his 20s. And Billy's mom died. So what could he do to somehow deal with the loss that he had? And he realized that it helped him. There's a lot of people looking for a way to cope and a way to give back.
I think I always understood, while not being a doctor, that this was going to be a long battle. You know, here we are 40 years later, 12 different routes, 1 day, 2 day, the mission comes to the center. Did I picture all of that in 1980? Not quite, but I saw where it was going. You know, we're hitting on all cylinders, but we definitely haven't achieved our potential yet.
All right, so Billy, tomorrow morning, we all head out with this great feeling and this sense of community for the 40th PMC. Tonight, what's your message to the writers out there and the volunteers and the donors?
This weekend, the PMC will roll through 47 towns in central and eastern Massachusetts, including Cape Cod. You can show your support by cheering on cyclists or making donation online. If you are driving, you can cheer as well. Please remember that this group is pedaling towards a $60 million goal. With everyone's cooperation, we will bring cures for cancer closer by the mile.
We want to thank you, Billy,
My
for
pleasure.
everything.
Thank you,
Billy.
I love this, man.
And we want to thank all of you. Ride safe, ride strong, and congratulations to the PMS Challenge on 40 strong years.
Thank you for being with us tonight.